It's your girl Stephanie. This is Wrestling Color Podcast right here on YouTube. Make sure you thumbs up this video. Make sure you subscribe to the Wrestling Color Podcast. Subscribe to me. No one's talking about what I'm talking about, please. No one set and reviewed Rose to the Top, so you don't have to. No one has hit on the topics that are all of a sudden hot topics like I have. I got over 100 episodes. You can go back. I'm not afraid to talk about shit. And I'm going to talk about it all. I talk about right here on Wrestling Color Podcast. I love y'all in the Discord. Make sure you comment on everything here. Make sure you subscribe, but make sure you follow me on Instagram, where I post videos and stuff. Uh, Wrestling Color on Twitter. I do a lot of commentary on wrestling nights, live tweeting and response and all that bullshit. I do argue sometimes, but boy, only so much. I'm just gonna mute you after a while. And also hit me on Pinterest because I post pretty pictures. And who doesn't like to stare at a good, glossy, high definition photo of the Tribal Chief? By the way, Roman Reigns was not on Friday Night SmackDown. It was very difficult for me to get through because I was not able to acknowledge him like I would like to, but I did acknowledge him on Twitter, and I hope you acknowledge him as well. So with that being said, let's dive into this because we're going to have to address the fans one more time. We're going to have to address the fans, okay? I feel like I've addressed the fans a number of times. Dear wrestling fans, respect the job. I talked about that 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I made a podcast, if you want to go back and listen to it, addressing the fans and their behavior when it comes to this fucking thing called pro wrestling that we all enjoy. Okay? The disrespect, the behavior, the fanaticism, it's getting too much. You all think you can tell people that they need to go back to wrestling school, that they're quote unquote green. For y'all that don't know what green is, I might do a whole podcast doing wrestling terminology. Green is used to describe a wrestler who is raw and inexperienced, generally refers to someone who's at the beginning of his or her career and more likely to make mistakes in the ring. If that's the case, Charlotte Flair's green because she made a mistake in the ring yesterday on SmackDown, and it was glaring and terrible. But she's also the most dominant female in WWE Women's Division, right? So how can you not call her green but call Sasha Banks a botch machine, but don't give somebody like Lash Legend, who just debuted on 205 Live against Ari Miller. By the way, Queen of 205 Live, Ari Miller. She just debuted and was very fucking impressive. I think her name is No, it's not. What is her name? I keep forgetting that woman. Tiffany Stratton. She's green, but she's also a world class Olympian in the field of gymnastics. Fucking Lash Legend, if you go back and listen to my Get to Know Her, I did a spotlight on Lash Legend. She's also a world class athlete on the collegiate level, decorated. How can you call anyone green when you sit your fat ass or weird looking ass or non getting pussy ass on the couch and critique these people the way you do? I'm tired of it. MJF just dragged somebody to hell during Rampage. MJF tweeted a hook, and then this guy was like, when he gets more comfortable in the ring and continue to learn, he's going to be a special talent. And then MJF said, oh, thanks for your expert opinion, Brian fucking Mark. And I said, you know what, he's right. I hate these guys calling people green and shit and don't know nothing. Like, why y'all out here talking to people like y'all are professionals? I'm tired of the fans. I am. I'm really over it. So apparently there has been an issue with AEW fans, and them being very disrespectful again. So let's get into it. Apparently, a wrestler by the name of Anthony Bowens. I believe he's a part of the Acclaimed. I thought he was. I could be wrong. But this past Wednesday on AEW Dynamite, he was the victim of basic racial slurs and gay slurs and all of these things, okay? This past weekend, Anthony Bowens was unfortunately subject to a number of homophobic slurs from a fan in attendance. Bowens, who is openly gay, he recently posted a picture of him and his boyfriend or his partner, and they were kissing at a rally against homophobia. And yes, he is a part of the claim. He was kissing against the homophobia, whatever they was kissing. Him and his partner, and he's responded to the issue at hand here. It says, "This is why I posted that photo the other day. Stuff like this, which is him kissing, unfortunately exists. I'm not phased. I'll just keep fighting against stuff like this till the day I die." He posted a rainbow. Somebody said super sad mentalities exist in wrestling, which is something I talk about all the time. A fan shouted fucking fag, and they posted Tony Khan and everybody to this issue. The comments go on to say, in Mexico we use all profanities and cursing available to rodos, which is heels, and when they cheat or getting momentum we use the Spanish equivalent of the F word, and the rodo, which is the heel, keeps doing his thing even with more passion. Why Americans get phased about a heel getting heat. And he said maybe it's a cultural thing that over in Mexico we don't take insults seriously depending on the context. But that's not a heel objective to generate hate, animosity, so this type of reaction should be expected. Maybe LGBT wrestlers shouldn't be heels then. This is the problem. You can be mad at a heel. Why are you calling faggots and attacking their sexuality? This isn't the 80s, this isn't the 90s. Because if that's the case, would you be calling them niggas because you don't like Bobby Lashley? Would you be, hey, fuck you, nigger? That's what you're gonna do at Down to the Wrestling show? Because this guy just basically said using the F word and calling fags and stuff is okay because that's what it is. And he says, well, I think the context what matters. So he's saying he's a heel, so he should accept being verbally assaulted. Seth Rollins is a heel, so should he accept being attacked by a rabid fan? What the fuck is wrong with y'all? There's a difference between hating a heel and using a derogatory slur. If I hate on Bowens, I'd say, boo, you fucking suck. But what's the point of using homophobic slurs? He's not the only one. Nyla Rose gets it. She gets it every which way but loose till Tuesday. And this makes me sometimes wonder, why isn't Sunny Kiss on my TV on Wednesdays or Fridays? That's a whole nother podcast to discuss that. I don't understand the need for this type of behavior. He comes out, he raps, he does his thing, he goes in the rings and he wrestles. You can call him an asshole, a dickhead, a fuckbot, whatever. There's no need to call him anything else outside of that. Stop acting like y'all fucking don't understand what's a slur and what's not. Stop fucking acting like people just wake up with shit on their minds just to bother you today. Oh, it's always about race, and then you turn around and make it about race. Oh well, it's just he's a heel, but you call him fags and homos and shit like that. Where What year is this? I don't even know why I said that, because when does it fucking matter anyway? They already said AEW fans don't even fucking bathe. So this is what we about to do, AEW. Y'all better nip it in the bud. You don't want to start stepping into that arena with the WWE and they 50 years in. That's not gonna be hot. Okay? Here's another neck beard. If a few words from a random person, not even directed at you at a public event, called you so much distress it controls your actions and make you inclined to leave before the show you're enjoying is over, you must definitely be a snowflake. Are you fucking kidding? Do you think I want to sit in a venue and people using racial slurs and shit? Imagine being a soccer fan and the way they berate those black soccer players. So this is what we doing? That man's gay. And he wants to display it. Fucking Sonya Deville's gay. She wears suits on TV. She comes out in her outfit, y'all ready to fuck the woman. How come she's celebrated, but this man can't just be gay on his in his personal life and post pictures with his boyfriend or husband or whatever the case may be, and you fucking wrestling fans gotta bring that shit into the forum. What should happen when people do stuff like this? You stop. You go get whoever they need to get and get them up out of there. People, I don't pay to go to wrestling shows to be hearing all kinds of ignorant ass shit. Okay? I don't have time for that. Y'all telling people to go back where they come from. Somebody was fucking with Sami Zayn probably about 2 years ago, telling him to go back to where he come from and all this other bullshit. Y'all either gonna get into it, enjoy the show for what it is, or keep your fucking ass home. You can be as homophobic and racist as you want. Enough is a fucking enough. You're making this really difficult for people to enjoy. No one has to come there and be berated and hear that type of shit. You know you wrong. Anybody who sits here and tries to fucking rationalize slurs, you're a fucking idiot. Point blank and period. So I was on like I said, on the internet following, doing my own thing, being nosy, and I came across this message board. And it said wrestling fans are pathetic. It's from 2 months ago. It says, has it really come to a point where we're discussing ratings as if it means anything to fans? It's sad enough that there's even a discussion. But 15-minute interval breakdowns? Even more pathetic, there's people out here who sit and watch with a notepad and a stopwatch and actually count minutes per hours of wrestling. When I was a kid, I just watched good matches. I could care less how long they were. Is this really what a wrestling fan in 2021 means? We have to analyze every second of the show and feel some kind of moral win for a company I choose to simp for? Wrestling used to be silly, and that's why most of us loved it. But the whole scene outside the ring has become pathetic. Smarks think they are a part of the product, and AEWs are great at making them believe it. WWE tried to make that years ago with the promo We became the authority. Thank God that lasted 2 weeks. But wrestling is so different from the other shows. Look at Game of Thrones. There's still a huge subreddit made to hate how the show ended like 3 weeks ago. I tend to sit and watch the show. If I dislike it, I change the channel. Some can't just let go. But it says a lot about the quality of the show and about the mental capacity of the fan base of the insiders when the focus is on the ratings, which, by the way, don't even you can't even get showbiz. Don't even get all the ratings. Everyone doesn't have a Nielsen box, but whatever. This whole demographic thing, 18 to 49. Women aren't even fucking watching wrestling like that. NXT 50 plus and over, old fucking people love NXT. Like, who cares? But this is the thing. Wrestling sucks nowadays because the fans are too engaged in their own narrative than in the characters. They don't support X or Y because they like them or believe in them, but just as they are means to an end, winning a make-believe war between two companies. As if it's sports fans care more about which players sold more jerseys than how many points and goals they scored. Wrestling communities online have become so incredibly toxic and tribal that anything outside group think is down voted or trolled. It's generally sad that people count minutes per hours and ratings when advertisers don't even care about that shit. Several wrestling fans that work in marketing companies come out to say demos mean jack shit and they're downvoted to oblivion. The hive mind is made up. The tribalism is there because AEW keeps stoking the flames every day without fail. This is the strategy Tony Khan is using. AstroTurfers rallying their diehard fan base every week to keep the hate train going. The ratings madness today has shown me that there is no hope for the sub anymore. Even a clear loss to be spun into a monumental victory for their side. Reality can be whatever they choose it to be. And of course, all the wrestling journalists who are undoubtedly in Khan's pockets, this is the most maddening thing of all. Just glorified bloggers pushing out rumors with no evidence that's taken as gospels by gullible fan bases of Booker of the Year. Was there any sort of evidence given for the WWE is leaking fast national storylines? A lot of stories get debunked only to be conveniently forgotten. And now their favorite journalist is a woman who admits to having anger toward WWE because they didn't give her a job. She watches women matches with a stopwatch and tweets aggressively. Just another carny using this war to get themselves over. Don't mean to rant. This industry is not changing for the better with AEW. They just have a win at all cost mentality and a billionaire's son who's cosplaying as a wrestling booker. I'll say this, at the end of the day, I'm a wrestling fan, but I'm not a fucking wrestling fanatic. I do enjoy Bianca Belair. I think that's probably the first wrestler outside of The Rock that I have affinity for and I want to see win. I do get upset when I don't think that fucking SummerSlam shit I'm not gonna get over. Period. I think that was just ridiculous. And that's another podcast for another day. But wrestling fans, y'all gonna have to get y'all shit together. I'm gonna just say this to AEW, and I'm gonna go ahead. Don't go down that fucking WWE road because we already saw this happen with the way WWE promotes behavior from their wrestling fans: sexism, ageism, racism, body, slamming, and all of these things that we all had to deal with during the Attitude Era that y'all all want to come back. Y'all all want this old school, oh, we wrestle and kick mother. Like when Seth Rollins got attacked, everybody pretty much was on board that he handled the situation good. But then you get old fuckers come out the woodwork talking about, well, in my day, I'd have bit him in the face. No, you can't do that. Seth Rollins has children. He has a wife backstage. Get the guy down, get him out the way. He handled it properly. You have fans, fuck him up, fuck him up. I don't know if they was talking to him or talking to the what you call it, the security. But these people are entertaining us. And you need to respect them. This is a job. You can't go on your job and go up to your coworkers and say, hey, faggot, you're going to lose your motherfucking job. So why do you think it's okay for you to go to these wrestling shows in the public and act like damn fool? This is one reason why I don't think they should be serving liquor at these events anyway, but that's another story. Unfortunately, fans has also noted that Nyla Rose was subjected to transphobic slurs and Riho was a target of racial slurs. Everyone should condemn this behavior. And if you're going to be homophobic and racist and stupid, keep your fucking ass home. Because I always say this. None of y'all are going to say this shit to them in person. None of you. We're not chalking it up to, oh, that's just, no. Nip that shit in the bud. Nip it in the bud, AEW. Don't go down that road and it take you 40 years to figure the shit out is unacceptable. And WWE still does it. Still has their undertone of racism and what they're trying to push, which they were going to do with Ali. Until everybody went to Ali's page, it's like, please don't use your ethnicity to generate heat. Come up with something else. And they nipped that whole storyline in the bud. Whatever the fuck he was getting ready to do, don't fucking do it. You said you was coming in here on a different tune, do that. I hate to see it. But that's what I'm here for, to call that shit out. Who gonna call it out? Who gonna call it out directly without having to rationalize the shit? Not many wrestling commentators or wrestling podcasters. Some of them will say, oh, well, they snowflakes. Oh, well, if you don't like it, don't go to the... What Finn Balor said, wrestling's for everybody. And then y'all call him gay because he was wearing gay colors. He was wearing the rainbow. Wrestling's for everybody. That's why the name of the show is called Wrestling in Color. Damn. But I also say this, they in Queens. And if I'm correct, they were in Staten Island. Staten Island got a fucking reputation, baby, for being one of the more racist ass boroughs, if you didn't know that. Just because you could call Gold Dust all kinds of homos and stuff back in 95, don't mean you could do that now. You can't do it. You can't do it. So with that being said, what do y'all think? What do y'all think about Bowden's and him being verbally assaulted along with Nyla Rose and fucking Riho? Who the fuck is attacking Riho? I'm I'm floored by that. I'm just floored. This is Wrestling Color Podcast, and this is to the fans. Hit me in the comments.